The moment the word secret guest list started circulating in the same sentence as Meghan Markle's alleged yacht appearances, the entire conversation shifted overnight. Not rumors, not vague whispers, not anonymous gossip floating around the internet. A list, a literal list of names. And according to royal biographer Tom Bower, that list may finally connect the dots that critics have been arguing about for years. Because if there really is a document showing who attended those private yacht gatherings and who was in the room when Meghan was there, then this story just moved from speculation into something far more explosive.
Having been a quote yacht girl, there have been more revelations.
He was shown the file, the thick file they had on Meghan Markle. The palace knew. The royal
Meghan Markle is moving forward on the lawsuit against Prince William and him taking her title.
What makes this twist so unsettling is that Bower isn't presenting it like some wild conspiracy theory pulled from a tabloid headline. He's presenting it the same way he presents everything else he writes. Slowly, methodically, with the quiet confidence of someone who has spent months talking to people who know exactly what happened behind those closed doors. And suddenly the conversation online isn't just about whether Meghan attended exclusive yacht events years ago. It's about who else was there and why those names were never mentioned before. Because here's the detail that has people leaning forward in their chairs. According to whispers circulating through royal commentary circles, the so-called guest list allegedly includes names that extend far beyond Hollywood acquaintances and social climbers looking for a glamorous weekend at sea. We're talking about individuals connected to finance, media, international business, and the kind of wealth that operates quietly behind the curtain of public attention. The type of people who don't appear in photographs unless they want to. The kind who prefer their names to stay far away from internet debates. And that's exactly why the idea of a physical list existing at all has triggered such a dramatic reaction. Because if those names ever surface publicly, the story would instantly become bigger than Meghan Markle. Think about it. The internet has spent years dissecting every moment of Meghan's life before and after joining the royal family. Old blog posts, red carpet photos, charity events, television appearances, interviews from the Suits era. Every detail has been examined from every angle imaginable. But what people could never verify was who she was actually socializing with behind the scenes, particularly during the years when she was moving through elite circles in Europe and North America. The yacht rumors floated around the edges of that conversation for a long time, but they never came with concrete proof. They were always described in vague terms, stories without names, events without guest lists, allegations without documents. Now, Bower is suggesting that may have changed.
You think the Sussex overdrive is unbelievable. But I mean, I don't think that he is going to get...
The way people inside royal media circles describe his research process is almost obsessive. He doesn't rush into publishing explosive claims because he understands that once a statement appears in one of his books, it will be dissected by lawyers, journalists, and critics who are desperate to find a flaw. So he waits. He interviews. He cross-references timelines. He compares stories from multiple sources who were present in the same environment. And when he finally decides to bring something forward, he usually believes he has enough information to defend it. That's the reputation that makes this latest development feel so different. Because if Tom Bower is even hinting that a list of yacht guests exists, then somewhere behind the scenes, someone must have shown him something convincing enough to mention it at all. And suddenly, the internet is doing what it always does when a mystery appears: digging. Social media threads exploded within hours of the claim circulating. Amateur investigators began combing through old photographs from Mediterranean events, luxury boat parties, film festival after parties, charity galas held on private vessels. People zoomed in on backgrounds, cross-referenced faces, compared dates with Meghan's known travel schedule during the years before she met Prince Harry. It turned into a full-scale digital investigation. Some of the speculation is ridiculous, obviously. Internet detectives sometimes see patterns where none exist. But mixed into that chaos are legitimate questions that people can't stop asking. If the list exists, who compiled it? Was it a yacht owner, an event planner, someone responsible for organizing elite networking gatherings? And more importantly, why would that document suddenly be appearing now? Because timing matters in stories like this. The royal family has spent years dealing with waves of controversy surrounding Harry and Meghan's departure from royal duties. Interviews, documentaries, memoirs, lawsuits, each new chapter seemed to reopen old wounds inside the monarchy. But a story about a guest list introduces an entirely different kind of tension. It shifts attention away from palace politics and toward Meghan's life before she became the Duchess of Sussex. And that's the period of her story that has always been the least documented. Publicly, Meghan described herself as an actress working in television, building a lifestyle blog, advocating for women's rights, and gradually becoming involved in humanitarian causes. That narrative helped shape the image that many supporters embraced when she entered the royal family. But critics have always argued that the reality might have been more complicated. The yacht rumors were part of that argument. Now, imagine what happens if an actual list of attendees from those events appears. Not rumors, not speculation. Names of businessmen, media figures, political donors, and influential personalities who attended the same private gatherings at the same time Meghan was reportedly present. That's the moment the story stops being about gossip and starts becoming about connections. And connections are everything in elite social circles, because high-level networking events aren't random parties where strangers wander in off the street. They're curated spaces where invitations are extended carefully, often through personal introductions or trusted intermediaries. The people inside those rooms usually know exactly why they were invited and who else is expected to be there, which leads to the question people keep whispering online. If Meghan was attending these gatherings, who invited her and who introduced her to those circles in the first place? There's another layer to this story that makes it even more complicated. Over the years, Meghan and Harry have built a brand around authenticity, compassion, and social activism. Their public appearances emphasize humanitarian causes, equality, and personal vulnerability. It's an image that resonates strongly with many supporters. But the yacht narrative creates a different interpretation of Meghan's early career trajectory. In that version of events, she wasn't simply an actress navigating Hollywood and television auditions. She was also moving through elite international social networks where powerful individuals gathered away from cameras and press coverage. Ambition, of course, isn't controversial by itself. Many successful people climb social ladders through strategic networking. But critics argue that if the yacht rumors are accurate, they might challenge the carefully constructed narrative Meghan presented about how she entered royal life. And that's why the alleged guest list matters so much, because documents change arguments. A story that once depended entirely on opinion suddenly gains a new dimension if someone can point to a piece of paper and say, these were the people who were there. Even if the document never becomes public, the mere suggestion that it exists has already changed the tone of the conversation. Behind the scenes, media analysts say Hollywood executives pay close attention to reputational controversies like this, not necessarily because they believe every allegation, but because perception affects business decisions. Film studios, streaming platforms, and production companies invest millions of dollars in projects tied to celebrity personalities. If public opinion becomes unpredictable, executives sometimes hesitate before committing resources. That's not unique to Meghan. It happens to actors, musicians, and influencers all the time. But in Meghan's case, the stakes are higher because her public persona isn't built purely on entertainment success. It's built on credibility as a humanitarian voice. So when critics question the authenticity of her past, the impact can ripple across everything she's trying to build now. And that brings us back to Tom Bower. Each new project added more pieces to the Sussex narrative, yet the yacht guest list rumor points in the opposite direction. Instead of focusing on life after joining the royal family, it focuses on everything that happened before. And that's a territory Meghan has rarely discussed in great detail, which is why critics say Tom Bower's research strategy is so effective. He doesn't try to dismantle the Sussex narrative directly. Instead, he looks backward, examining the years leading up to it, the friendships, the travel patterns, the professional connections, the environments where Meghan spent time while building her acting career and lifestyle brand. And in doing so, he creates a timeline that invites readers to reconsider the sequence of events. That timeline is what Bower reportedly believes the guest list could clarify, because if certain names appear alongside Meghan's in private gathering records, it could show how she moved through circles that overlapped with global power structures long before the world paid attention to her. That doesn't necessarily mean anything inappropriate happened, but perception is powerful. Once people start believing a new narrative, it can reshape how they interpret every moment that follows. And right now, the internet is actively constructing multiple competing narratives about Meghan's past. Some supporters dismiss the yacht claims entirely, arguing that critics are simply trying to discredit a woman who challenged royal tradition and media hostility. They point out that ambitious women in entertainment often face harsher scrutiny than their male counterparts when they pursue influential connections. Others say the rumors deserve investigation precisely because transparency matters when public figures build careers around authenticity and advocacy. Both sides are digging in. Meanwhile, Tom Bower continues doing what he has always done, quietly gathering information. People who have worked with him in the past say he rarely reacts to online debates or public criticism while researching a project. He prefers to let speculation swirl while he continues interviewing sources and verifying details privately. That silence is part of what makes his work so unpredictable, because when he finally publishes something, it often includes details that weren't circulating publicly beforehand, and that possibility is exactly what keeps this story alive. If a guest list truly exists, it may already be in someone's possession. It could be a yacht charter, company record, an event organizer's archive, or even a personal document kept by someone who attended those gatherings years ago. Documents like that sometimes sit unnoticed for a decade before suddenly resurfacing. All it takes is one person deciding to share it. That's the scenario fueling the current tension around this topic, because if a list appears, journalists and commentators will immediately begin analyzing every name on it, who they are, what industries they influence, whether any of them later cross paths with Meghan again after she entered royal life. Connections would be mapped out like a web, and once that kind of analysis begins, it rarely stops. For Meghan and Harry, the challenge is that stories about the past can't be easily managed through modern public relations strategies. You can issue statements about present controversies, clarify misunderstandings, or address criticism directly. But when the debate centers on events from years earlier involving private gatherings and social relationships that were never documented publicly, responses become far more complicated. That's why this situation feels like a slow-burning narrative rather than a sudden scandal. Nothing definitive has appeared yet. No document has been confirmed publicly. No official guest list has been released. What exists right now is a claim, a suggestion that such a list may have been discovered during research into Meghan's early social circles. But even that suggestion has been enough to reignite one of the most persistent controversies surrounding her past. And if Tom Bower eventually decides to reveal more about what he has found, the conversation could shift once again. Because once names appear on paper, debates about rumor end, and debates about evidence begin. For now, the list remains unseen, existing somewhere in the shadows between investigation and speculation. But if the man known for exposing uncomfortable details about powerful figures truly holds that document, then the story surrounding Meghan Markle's alleged yacht connections may be far from over. In fact, it might just be entering its most explosive chapter yet.